We're working on page 227 in the math text. I'd like for you to work along in your textbook as we talk through each problem, and that'll give you some better experience with using the algorithm of copy, change, change. The first problem says Haley picked 7/8 peck of strawberries. She plans to put them in pint containers. A pint container is 1/16 of a peck. How many pint containers does she need? So I've written a couple of facts at the top. 7/8 of a peck of strawberries is how much she picked. And then a pint is 1/16 of a peck. And we're asked to divide that 7/8 peck of strawberries that she has picked into containers. We just don't know how many containers it's going to take. So we're dividing the 7/8 by 1/16 because a pint container is 1/16 of a peck. So that'll tell us how many containers we need. So if I'm going to use my algorithm of copy, change, change, I'm going to copy the 7/8, and then I'm going to change divide to times and change my 1/16 to 16/1. Now I can reduce before I multiply. So 8 and 16 are going to reduce. And my answer is going to result in 7 times 2, or 14. And 1 times 1, or 1. So how many containers is that? That is 14 containers. On to 1B. Emily made 3/4 pound of candy. That's not a whole pound. She made 3/4 of a pound. She divided it into small bags with 1/8 of a pound in each bag. So how many bags did she need in all for the candy? So I've written the equation: 3/4 of a pound divided by 1/8 of a pound per bag to find out how many bags we're going to need. So if I use my algorithm, copy, change, change, I'm going to copy 3/4. I want to change divide to times. I want to change 1/8 to 8/1. And then I'm going to multiply. So I can reduce before I multiply. The 8 and the 4 will reduce. That gives me 3 times 2, or 6. 1 times 1 is 1. So that tells me I'm going to use 6 bags for that 3/4 pound of candy. Okay, here's number 2. We just have a set of problems in which we're going to practice the inversion method. That means when we are using the reciprocal and we're doing the copy, change, change. So the first problem, 2A, 7 divided by 3/5. So I'm going to copy the 7. I'm going to change the divide to times. I'm going to change 3/5 to its inverse. That's the inverted method, 5/3. I cannot reduce anything before I multiply here. So my answer is going to be 35/3. And I need to reduce that into a mixed number. So 3 into 35 will go 11 times, and I have 2 left over. I'm going to keep the same denominator that I had in my multiplication problem. Letter B, 6 divided by 2/9. So I'm going to copy the 6. I'm going to change divide to times. I'm going to change 2/9 to its inverse, 9/2. This one will reduce before I multiply. So 6 becomes 3, 2 becomes 1, and 3 times 9 is 27/1. Now that'll reduce to be just the whole number, 27. Our next two problems, 2C, 8 divided by 4/7. So I'm going to copy 8, change divide to times, change 4/7 to 7/4. I can reduce before I multiply. 4 becomes 1, 8 becomes 2. 2 times 7 is 14 over 1. So my answer is the whole number 14. For letter D, copy the 3, change divide to times, change 3/5 to 5/3. I can reduce before I multiply, and my 3's reduce to 1's. 1 times 5 is 5 over 1. So my answer is the whole number 5. 2E, I have 9 divided by 3/8. So I'm going to copy the 9. I'm going to change divide to times, and I'm going to change 3/8 to its reciprocal, 8/3. I can reduce before I multiply. 9 will become 3, and 3 will become 1. So 3 times 8 is 24 over 1. So my answer is 24. Now on the next set, F through J, we're going to have a fraction divided by a fraction, but we still do it the same way. So I have 2/3. I'm going to copy 2/3. I'm going to change divide to times, and I'm going to change 4/5 to 5/4. I can still reduce before I multiply. 2 and 4 reduce to 1 and 2. Now I'm going to multiply across. 1 times 5 for the numerator, 3 times 2 for the denominator. And this time I see I have a fraction for my answer rather than a whole number or a mixed number. And our last set of problems for today, let's start with G. On G, I have 7/8. Change divide to times, change 14/15 to 15/14. And I can reduce before I multiply. 7 and 14. 1 times 15 for the numerator, and 8 times 2 for the denominator. So I need to be sure and write that answer in my blank. For letter H, I'm going to copy 5/9. I'm going to change divide to times, change 10/13 to 13/10. And I can reduce before I multiply. And I wind up with 13/18. And I need to be sure and write that in my blank. For letter I, copy, change, reduce, and multiply. Here I have an improper fraction, so I'm going to reduce that answer when I write it in my blank. And last one, copy, change. Ooh, that was sloppy. And reduce, multiply, and write my final answer, reducing as I go. All right, we're done. If you have any questions after working all of those problems together, please contact me. Thank you.